Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about pizza delivery and home sweet pineapple. First, I'm going to talk about pizza delivery. Enjoy! It's closing time at the Krusty Krab, and Squidward answers a last-minute phone call from a customer. Just as he is about to tell the customer the restaurant is closed, Mr. Krabs suddenly appears and snatches the phone from Squidward's hands and answers it himself. The customer tells Mr. Krabs that he wants to order a pizza and have it delivered, which Mr. Krabs happily agrees to, knowing he'll make extra money out of it. Squidward protests this by saying that the restaurant doesn't serve pizza nor do they do deliveries, but Mr. Krabs spontaneously makes a pizza out of Krabby Patties and forces Squidward and SpongeBob to deliver it. After SpongeBob does a vehicle inspection on a boatmobile, Squidward tells him to drive. However, SpongeBob says he cannot as he's still in boating school and doesn't have a license, but Squidward says that he doesn't want to drive either and tells him, it's just around the corner, and to just do what you do in school. As expected, SpongeBob becomes increasingly nervous when trying to shift the boat into reverse and, after an annoyed Squidward yells at him to back it up, he finally panics and ends up reversing the boat for miles and miles until the boat stalls in the middle of a big desert. Thinking the boat has run out of gas, Squidward complains about their predicament and eventually kicks the boat out of frustration when SpongeBob says the pizza is getting cold. This causes the boat to suddenly start back up and drive off unoccupied, leaving the two stranded and forced to continue the delivery on foot. Throughout the journey, the duo encounters numerous mishaps. First, SpongeBob tries a pioneer trick he claims to have seen in a movie where he listens to the ground and hears a truck coming. When SpongeBob tries to get the driver's attention by doing a strange dance in the middle of the road, the driver speeds up and Squidward pushes SpongeBob out of the way so he does not get mowed down. Later, the pizza box becomes caught in heavy winds and SpongeBob refuses to let go of it even after a tornado forms and sucks both him and Squidward into it. However, the pizza actually saves their lives when it turns into a parachute. Upon landing on solid ground, Squidward panics when he notices the road they were following is nowhere in sight. SpongeBob notices a rock with moss on it and suggests they go in the direction where the moss is pointing, saying that moss always points to civilization, another pioneered trick he learned. Refusing to follow SpongeBob's tip, Squidward goes in the opposite direction, unaware that the moss was actually directing them to a nearby city. Much time passes, and the two become tired and hungry, so SpongeBob suggests eating coral like the pioneers did. But while SpongeBob tries to remember if it was actually sand or mud, an exasperated Squidward demands to eat the pizza, having given up hope on delivering it. The two then begin arguing over it with SpongeBob insisting it still be delivered, and after a brief chase, Squidward prepares to take the pizza by force. However, SpongeBob becomes overjoyed when he notices a giant rock nearby and, after exclaiming that the pioneers had driven them for miles, says that they can ride it out of the desert. Finally fed up with the pioneer tricks, Squidward tells SpongeBob to forget about them as there are no pioneers left due to their unusual traveling methods and eating habits. But after SpongeBob runs him over with the rock revealing they can be driven after all, Squidward changes his mind and the duo proceed to ride the rock all the way to customer's house. Unfortunately, their journey doesn't pay off very well. The customer is happy for a brief moment when he receives his pizza and after realizing that he didn't receive the drink he asks where it is. SpongeBob, confused, checks his order and it looks as if he didn't order a drink, though it's likely that Mr. Krabs hung up before the customer finished his order, or he didn't hear that part of the order, or he didn't care about hearing the customer's long babbling because he wanted the delivery to be done, or the customer assumed he would get one. Angry by this, the customer abusively berates SpongeBob for not bringing his drink and his poor delivery service before throwing the pizza in his face and furiously slamming the door on him. Squidward, having watched the entire scene, is horrified and tries to console SpongeBob, but fails as he falls to the ground crying while absorbing his tears. Outraged at how the customer treated SpongeBob all because of a measly drink, after everything the two went through and the ridiculous and tiresome obstacles they've been in, a complete waste of time, a furious Squidward confronts the customer and brutally slams the pizza in his face as payback for his rudeness towards SpongeBob. Squidward then returns to SpongeBob and cheers him up by saying the customer changed his mind about taking the pizza and ate the whole thing in one bite, even without the drink. With the delivery finally completed, Squidward asks to be taken home, but a cheerful SpongeBob says they still have time to make it back to work and drives back to the Krusty Krab, which is comically revealed to have been right across the street from the customer's house, meaning the whole journey could have easily been avoided. The episode ends as Squidward groans, "Oh, my aching tentacles." Next, I'm going to talk about Home Sweet Pineapple. Enjoy. A crowd of hungry nematodes arrive in Bikini Bottom early in the morning and eat a variety of items. Upon reaching SpongeBob's house, they pull out straws and start drinking the juice inside it. Meanwhile, SpongeBob and Gary are inside, sleeping, as everything starts to shrink. SpongeBob and Gary wake up and rush into the living room as SpongeBob calls Squidward on the phone, and Squidward asks if it is time for SpongeBob to ruin his day. SpongeBob tries to explain the situation only for the phone to shrink as well. Then Patrick gets up asking, "Is it already time to ruin Squid's day?" Before rushing over elegantly dressed. When Squidward sees that there is nothing left of SpongeBob's house save what seems to be small pebble, he starts elatedly saying goodbye to SpongeBob, but throws a party inside his house, with confetti and streamers flying out of his front windows. Now that the house is no longer there, SpongeBob says that he will have to move back in with his mom and dad. However, Patrick convinces SpongeBob to build a new house. Later, SpongeBob and Patrick attempt to build another pineapple house, but it ends up being a scale model, meaning SpongeBob has no choice but to move away, until Patrick offers to allow SpongeBob and Gary to stay at his house. When SpongeBob and Gary try to sleep, Patrick hogs his rock, which he and SpongeBob are using as a blanket, and they get into a tug of war. Not only does Patrick snore so loud that SpongeBob put corks in his ears, but he also begins drooling in his sleep. SpongeBob absorbs the drool and waddles over to Patrick to put a giant cork inside his mouth. Later, Patrick has dreams that spiders are attacking him, and hits SpongeBob repeatedly with the rock, crushing him. SpongeBob decides to sleep far away from Patrick, but when Patrick has another nightmare, he sleep runs to where SpongeBob is and pounds him with his rock some more before heading back to where he was and going back to sleep the way he normally does. SpongeBob gives up sleeping at Patrick's house and goes to sleep at Squidward's. SpongeBob asks Squidward for a glass of water, and Squidward, who is still half asleep, brings him one. When they say goodnight to each other, Squidward suddenly wakes up and realizes that SpongeBob is sleeping at his house, and angrily kicks him and Gary out, leaving both of them without a place to stay for the rest of the night. The next morning, Squidward gets up early so he can see SpongeBob move back with his parents. When SpongeBob's parents arrive, Patrick begins crying hysterically and attempts to drag SpongeBob's family's car to a stop while Squidward starts dancing and singing. Despondent, SpongeBob buries the pebble from the beginning of the episode where his house used to be because it holds too many memories. He begins to tear up, and one tear falls on the spot where the pebble was planted. However, the pebble is actually a seed, and SpongeBob's tear waters the pineapple seed, which causes it to glow and creates a massive vine. This vine sprouts a new pineapple house identical to the previous one, drops it on top of Squidward, and retreats underground. SpongeBob is happy his house came back as he, his parents, and Patrick rush over to go inside to find everything back to where it belongs. SpongeBob then goes over to tell Squidward, who is underneath the floor, that he is back forever, much to the cephalopod's dismay. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.